Hello, I'm Will Sampson from FDMC Magazine and the Woodworking Network. We're in the shop today to talk about hammers. Somebody said that if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, maybe that's true, but also there are a lot of other things that hammers are for besides nailing things. I started thinking about hammers when the folks at ToughBuilt sent me this high-tech ShockStop hammer. It's a 20-ounce framing hammer that we'll talk about in a minute, but it got me thinking about hammers. I mean, if you really consider it, the hammer in the form of a rock, a hammer stone, was probably the very first tool that anybody used. Something to strike and hit on something. And now we have a gazillion different versions of hammers for all sorts of things. I just ran around and collected a sampling of some of the ones that I have around the shop. I'll sort of go through and talk about the different features of them. This ToughBuilt is a framing hammer. It's quite a bit different than the California style framing hammer that I use building my house all the time. They're both 20-ounce hammers, but this is a hickory handle and different profile. One of the things that sets framing hammers apart is that the claw that they have on them tends to be fairly shallow, so you can use it like a pry bar, compared to a 16-ounce household claw hammer. It has a pretty sharp claw, which makes it a little easier in tight spaces to pull up a nail. Now, one of the other things that you notice about framing hammers, this is a 22-ounce boss stitch, all steel. It has a really deep milled face on the hammer front there, and you can see that. Mine on my old California framing hammer is worn down quite a bit, and then a nice crisp on the new ToughBuilt one. But some hammers have smoother faces, and that one's a smooth face too. The idea, of course, is if you have the checkered face, the idea is that it's going to strike and stay put. It's going to be a solid contact with the nail, but it's going to mar everything around it. If you miss the nail and hit your framing, you're going to print a big checkered spot there. So, and all the weights, I mean, these range, this is 12, this is 22 ounces, this is 28 ounces, these are 20 ounces, this is 18 ounces, this is 16 ounces. I dabble in blacksmithing a bit, and my standard blacksmithing hammer is 2 pounds. And this is called a cross peen hammer. It has this narrow peen on the back of it, so you can really concentrate a lot of force right there. Boy, if you want to see a lot of different kinds of hammers, go to a blacksmith shop. They have hammers for all sorts of special purposes, and planishing and riveting and raising and fullers and all different kinds of hammers. This is actually a kind of a hatchet rather than a hammer. It does have a hammer on it, but this is what I've always called a pallet hatchet. It may have other names, but it's got 2 ways to pull nails, and a big heavy metal through handle, and a hatchet to break up the pallet, and a hammer to nail it back in. Now, we talked about that cross peen. Here's a classic ball peen hammer, frequently used in metalworking and automotive. Here's another kind of a sort of ball peen hammer. This is a really delicate hammer, beautiful handle that's intended more for jewelry work and has a nice polished head on it. This is an automotive bodyworking hammer, and its peen is round, is kind of like a pick. And I'm not sure what the exact name of this particular kind of hammer is, but there are a lot of different kinds of hammers for bodywork as well. Now, some of these framing hammers, I don't think I mentioned, they have a magnetic nail starter, so you can put the nail there and start it so you don't have to worry about bashing your thumb or fingers. That's a fairly nice feature. That one has it too, and this one also has it. But another magnetic head. This is a upholstery tack hammer, and this end is magnetic, and so you just throw a pile of tacks and you pick up a tack with a magnet and start it that way and then hammer. Very handy for that. This is a shingling hammer that's a shingling hatchet, kind of like this, has sharp edge there for splitting shingles, and then a checkered face for nailing things in. Now, not all hammers have to be metal heads. This is a dead blow hammer, which is all rubberized, and it has material in it so that the hammer doesn't bounce when it hits, which makes for a solid contact with what you're working with. This heavy beast, I haven't weighed it, I don't know how much it weighs. This head is solid lead, and that's again used for hitting something hard but not marring the surface so much. And then there are wood mallets. This is a mallet that I use for hitting chisel handles, which are wood. You aren't going to hurt a wooden handle by hitting it with a wooden mallet. So that's just a cross section. What makes for a good hammer? It has to do a lot with your particular tastes. This high-tech thing, it's one of the things that says it's a ShockStop. It's designed not to shock your hand, which is a good thing. And it has this kind of a spring, heavy-duty spring in there, and it looks like the whole head, I can't move it, but it looks like it maybe floats a little on here if you hit something really hard, and maybe that takes the shock up. All I know is it's pretty comfortable. It's rubberized steel handle. It's got a nice feel. It's not quite as long as my California framer style, which I've gotten used to. I like that length, but it's all a matter of taste. But there clearly are hammers for every style. Going back to blacksmithing, my best friend at blacksmithing, he likes what's called a French cross peen hammer, and it has this basic shape, but then it cuts down here a little bit, and it has a different shape on the peen. To each his own. Rubber mallet is handy for again, non-marring situations, and maybe moving a wooden part into place, or putting the lid back on a paint can. Any of those kinds of things. So there's a lot more than nails to be hitting with hammers. If you want to learn more about the ToughBuilt hammer, you can go to toughbuilt.com. They have a lot of interesting, inventive new products. And for more product reviews and the latest news on the woodworking industry, you can go to woodworkingnetwork.com or look in the pages of FDMC magazine. That's what we got for today. Thanks for watching.